If you're moving to Hawaii, then this is without a doubt going to be one of the biggest moves that you make in your life. Whether you're in the military or you're civilian, this is going to be one of the most craziest moves. There's going to be a lot of things that you've got to figure out and get done because there's no roads to get here. You're traveling across the Pacific, and there's a lot of things that you've got to get lined up and you've got to figure out. And this is not something that you should do on a whim either. I think that was even a trend. It's a bad trend. This is not something that you should do on a whim. We're going to talk about that in this video. We're going to go through the steps and things that you need to know in order to move to Hawaii successfully without a lot of the stress. Even though there is going to be stress, we're going to try to alleviate some of that in this video right now. What's going on, guys? It's Ryan Strong here, back with another video on the Living in Hawaii channel. If you're new to this channel is all about living in Hawaii, everything Hawaii has to offer, the up, down, left, right, the good, the bad, the ugly, everything that you need to know. So if you're already living in Hawaii and looking to buy a home, or moving to Hawaii and trying to find more information, go ahead and hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, and that notification bell so you get notified every time that I upload a new video. And honestly, guys, look, I'm getting all these calls, texts, emails of tons of people looking to make that move to Hawaii, looking for more information of somebody that they can trust and relate to so that they can have that conversation about their move. If that sounds like you, you can reach out, you can give me a text, you can send me an email, you can get in my DMs, you can schedule your own Zooms down in the description below. However you want to get a hold of me, I got your back when moving to Hawaii. As we were saying, this is without a doubt going to be one of the biggest moves that you make traveling across the Pacific to move out here to Hawaii. You know, you decided which island you want to live on, or where's the best island, where's your job maybe. We're going to cover a lot of those things. But the very first thing that we need to start out with in this video, if you are making that move to Hawaii, is that you need to do some historical research. Yes, I said it. You need to go and do a little bit of historical research on the islands of Hawaii. Okay, Hawaii is a very prideful place. And just for a little bit of background here, I grew up here. All right, my family moved here. I was a military brat when I was a kid. I grew up here, went to elementary, middle, high school here. I graduated college here. I have grown up here, but I'm still considered a transplant of sort. I'm still called Haole, and all that's okay because I am a foreigner, but I've decided to call Hawaii home. I've decided to raise my kids and my family here in Hawaii. I absolutely love Hawaii. And this is why I'm saying this, is because there is a little bit of tension, all right, between, you know, locals and people who are either tourists or deciding to move out here. And when you come here with your nose up and lack of respect for the culture and the things that are actually happening out here in Hawaii, it doesn't help with that transition any better, or it doesn't make it any easier, okay? So having an understanding of a couple of different kings and queens, Queen Liliuokalani, King Kamehameha, all right? Understanding the division of lands, which was the Great Mahele, okay? And understanding that Hawaii is a melting pot of cultures, okay? So understand where the locals are coming from, but also understand that it's hard. It's a hard life out here. People are out here working their butts off to make it. Cost of living is outrageous. I've done a couple videos on cost of living that you can go check out, okay? So come out here with gratitude, be grateful, but come out here with aloha, right? A great aloha spirit, a kind spirit, not with your nose up thinking that somebody owes you something or that you own anything, okay? Come here with respect for the land. This is one of the biggest things, okay? Do not touch any wildlife. If you see any wildlife, seals, turtles, anything on the beach, don't touch it. It's actually illegal, and you will get fined up to $50,000, okay? So don't do that. But also, you need to understand, okay, one of the old sayings in Hawaii is, if you take care of the land will take care of you. That is what we basically, you know, pound into your brain out here, is do not litter, do not throw your trash. Even you may even see some locals do it, okay? This is across the board though. Don't litter, throw away your trash where it goes. Hawaii's big on recycling. So take care of the land will take care of you. Back in the day, they used to live off the land, right? Pineapples, sugarcane, poi, taro, right? All these taro plants, all this stuff. The agriculture industry has gone down here, but I'm pounding this and I'm kind of dwelling on this topic because I think it's crucial for your move to come out here with an understanding of why there may be some tension. And even now in July of 2021, it's kind of high. So just have that understanding before you make that move. But culture, do's and don'ts, okay? Learn up. Getting into number 2 is going to be dial in your expenses. Now, I know this can sound like pretty general, right? Hey, okay, yeah, I mean, why wouldn't I, right? Dial in my expenses. Well, I just talked about a trend, I think it was, about moving to Hawaii with nothing, or moving to Hawaii on a whim. Don't do that, especially if you plan to make it out here, okay? Hawaii has a very large homeless population, and I'm not judging anybody by their situations or circumstances. I'm just telling you, Hawaii does have a large homeless population. Anybody that is local here is aware of it. So prepare yourself for the move, okay? What can I afford? Do I have money saved, right? You're gonna wanna have around $10,000 saved for this move. If you haven't already bought your movers, all right? If you haven't already figured out who your movers are gonna be, if you haven't figured out your car situation, all that stuff, you're gonna wanna have at least a $10,000 cushion, okay? When you move here and you decide whether you wanna buy or rent, but if you're deciding to rent, you're gonna have to go ahead and look at, somebody's gonna want that first month's rent and security deposit, and then if you have pets, they're gonna want even more, so you've gotta have all that ready and prepared too. So dial in your expenses, understand what you can afford, what your monthly budget is. One of the other things happening too with rentals, because of what just happened in the pandemic and the emergency proclamations and things like that, the moratoriums that we had, there were some pretty ugly situations where tenants didn't pay rent for well over a year. What do you think that did to landlords or the property management section? Now that getting more strict with their qualifications as far as renting homes, those are the words that I'm trying to get out. So basically they're going to want to see that, yes, you do have the money to start, but do you have the money to continue to pay this rent? Do you have a job that's going to be paying you enough to cover the rent plus whatever else you might need? So those are the things that you definitely need to prepare for when dialing in your expenses. Have that at least $10,000 cushion if you can before making that move, so that you do not end up on the street and you are ready to set yourself up for a less stressful move. Number 3 is, do you have a job lined up? Now, I've been on calls with some people who do. They've gotten a promotion and they're making the move out here to settle in on, with their home and their promotion and work their new job. Some people are moving out here for medical, right? We got plenty of hospitals out here, whether you're a doctor or a nurse or in a tech of some sort, if you're in sonography or whatever it may be, lab techs. Set up and make sure that you have a position solidified. You have that contract for that position. You may be moving out here to be a real estate agent such as myself. That's going to be a hustle and a grind. You're going to make sure you want to align yourself with the right people. Case in point though, have a job lined up if you're making the move. Do not make the move on the whim. Once again, it's going to be a little bit tougher and a little bit more stressful if you don't have a solid cushion underneath you. If you do not have a job lined up, for those of you that are going to make the move and just going to find a job, the job market is tough. I think the minimum wage last I checked, which was not too long ago, was $10.15. Some other things that you need to know, I kind of mentioned in the beginning of this video. As far as agriculture goes, we basically gone to minimum agriculture. We still have like Dole Plantation and some other farmlands and stuff, but for the most part, everything has gone to import and export, and I'm not proud to say that. I wish we didn't get rid of a lot of the agriculture and keeping things homegrown and stuff, but that's just the way things are. Tourism is going to be one of the main industries of Hawaii. And so we rely heavily on tourism. Again, not proud to say that because of what happened when we didn't have tourism coming, and you could see the effects of being so heavily reliant on one industry. And I know Vegas sort of felt the same. So being in a place like that and not having it, and now all of a sudden it's coming back, and now Hawaii is kind of flooded with tourists because of the cheap flights and things going on. But we are very tourism heavy industry, so there's a lot of hotels, a lot of restaurants that are generally hiring for the most part. If you're looking for a solid job when you get out here, I would definitely, with good benefits and things like that, I would definitely look into Costco, Home Depot, Lowe's, Walmart, industries like that, where you can basically level up, get good benefits and get good pay. I know Costco has really good pay and benefits. And we have, I want to say, was it four Costco's on the island of Oahu. And then one or two on Maui. I have to check that. But jobs, that's what we've been harping on. Have a job lined up. If you don't, there are some solid options again, and then the hotel and restaurant industry is pretty heavy out here as well, so consider those options. Number 4 is going to be, are you bringing your car? Okay, did you buy your car in the mainland and you're looking to bring it out here to Hawaii? So we got to start looking into the companies that do this. Where are they shipping from? What kind of containers do they ship in? What kind of trucks do they use to drive the vehicles? These types of things. And then the cost overall, right? How much is this going to cost you to ship your vehicle out here? It is not uncommon for people to sell their vehicles before getting here and then just purchasing a new one when they get here. But some people have cars paid off or have something that has sentimental value and they want to bring it. So these are the things that you got to consider, like I just mentioned, but the cost. One of the costs recently was, so my sister actually just moved off island and it cost them $1,300 to get their car shipped from here to almost the East Coast, and I think that was a door-to-door service as well. But these costs can obviously fluctuate with, whether the ports, drivers and ports and these types of things, but you can definitely expect around $1,000 and even on up to $4,500 I've seen. It really depends. They were military as well, so that may have played a factor, but this is a cost that you've got to consider when we talked about dialing in your budget, is how much is it going to cost you to ship your car? What companies are there that can help you with this? There's Pasha, there's Pasha Hawaii is one of the bigger companies that does this, and you got Matson. Matson's another company, obviously, with the ports and stuff that do a lot of shipping of the cars. Google it, shipping my car to Hawaii. Do your due diligence on these. Everybody's got good and bad things to say about every company, so you take reviews with a grain of salt, and you really just got to do your own due diligence and what you're comfortable with. That's why I'm not going to sit here and recommend a service, because then it's going to be, well, Ryan recommended this one and they dinged the hell out of my car and I'm not happy now, right? So you got to do your own due diligence, take the reviews with a grain of salt, but really understand the expense that's going to come with this. And then we're going to talk about registering your car in Hawaii. So if you're looking to register your car in Hawaii when you get here, vehicle registration is based on weight. So for me, I drive a little 4-door sedan, and typically my vehicle registration is $385 every year to register my car in Hawaii. That's based on weight, right? I drive a Kia Optima, a 4-door sedan, right now anyway, and that registration is about $385. We also have a Hyundai Tucson, and we just got that one, so I'm not aware of the registration price just yet, but I'm sure we will find out in about a year. But I'm imagining that's going to be around $425 because it's a bigger vehicle. So if you have a big truck that you're bringing out here, that's obviously going to cost more to ship because it's a bigger truck, but you're also going to be paying more for vehicle registration if you decide to register your vehicle here in Hawaii. So take that into account. You're also going to need a safety sticker. So you're going to take your car to most of the places that change your oil some dealerships, have it as well. Somebody certified there. You just call and you book an appointment at the place that you decide to go to. And typically it is around $20 for a vehicle safety check, safety inspection. This is something else that your car is required to renew every year, but again, this is around $20 to do. That's not that expensive, but something to keep in mind as far as expenses go. And you can see how these things are starting to pile up, and why we say at least have a minimum of $10,000 like cushion at least before you decide to make that massive move out here. Number 5 is going to be, are you bringing pets with you? This is something that hits home for me. I've made videos about this, specifically PCSing to Hawaii with pets. That's for military, but I've also made a general broad video of moving to Hawaii with pets. It's a step-by-step guide that guides you as far as what you need to do when you need to start this process and the cost of it. There's a checklist in that video, in the description of that video, that you can pull out. It's a PDF file and you can take to your vet and say, hey, look, I'm making the move to Hawaii. I understand that I need to start this process probably about 6 months out, and I need to make sure that I hit these timelines. Please make sure that we hit these timelines. I need to get these scheduled out now, because you need to get your pet microchipped, a working microchip. You need to have a set of rabies vaccinations that is approved, FAVN titer test. You're gonna have to get a blood test, and this timeline really starts to expand. I explain it all in that video. You can go check out that video after you're done checking out this one. I have tons of other videos on this channel, which reminds me that if you're liking this video, I would appreciate it if you dropped a like for it. It helps anybody else that is looking for the same information about moving to Hawaii find this video. And also hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so you get notified every time that I upload a new video about living in Hawaii. Number 6 is going to be, where should you live? Now, this is always a tricky question because it really depends on your wants, needs, criteria, and goals. So one of the biggest questions, and I have calls about this all the time, and this is something that we discuss, is proximity to work. Okay. If you already have that job lined up, if you're military and you already know where you're going to be stationed, if you're medical and you're already working in a certain hospital and you already know that hospital, we can talk about areas around that hospital, drive times, and these types of things. Typically, when we get on these calls, most of the people are comfortable with about a 20 to 30 minute drive, depending on where the area is and traffic. So especially for military stationed in the middle of the island, you shouldn't be living on the other side of the island, vice versa. If you're medical and you're working in town, your hospital is, let's say, Kaiser in town, you're probably not going to want to live all the way in Waianae, driving an hour to work and then an hour back from work. And you got to account for traffic for that too. So you're going to be spending roughly 2.5 hours of your day every day in the car while you go to work. That is not something that is very pleasant for a lot of people. So proximity to work is one of the things that we always talk about on every call that we get on. And I say we because my lender partner Ridge is always on my calls as well, to answer any question that you have about any part of the island. And if you're considering buying a home out here, we can definitely get those questions squared away for you as well. But where should you live? I highly recommend living in about a 25 minute proximity to your job. Reason being, so I live at the time, let me give you a quick story here. I lived in Kapolei. Sorry, I had a leg itch. I lived in Kapolei, and I was going to school at HPU, Hawaii Pacific University. I went to school for nursing. I do have my bachelor's of science in nursing, and now I help you with this. But and that campus was in Kaneohe. We actually went to that campus in our Kaneohe vlog, if you want to go check that out after this video. Sorry, we went right across the street. There's a golf course right across the street. We went to the golf course. But I went to that campus for my nursing degree. That drive was no traffic, 45 minutes each way. So hour and a half of my day in the car to go to class on the days that I had class. So I would pack like I was going on a vacation. I would pack my meals, I would pack my school stuff, I would pack gym clothes. I would pack and leave in the morning like I was going on a vacation, and then I wouldn't get back till the end of the day. Because you'll notice this. People will plan their work schedules or plan out their weekends, their days around when possible traffic could be. A lot of people either use their maps on their phone that comes with it, or Waze, to understand like drive times and when's the best time to leave and stuff. My wife uses Waze every day, but that was the drive that I did. Now, coming back from school one day at 3:00 p.m., which is a terrible time to hit the road from east to west, I was coming back and something had happened with our Zipmobile, which basically creates another lane. It broke down. I was in traffic for over 3 hours that day trying to get back home to Kapolei. That was crazy. There's been other incidents. There was a cow stuck on the road heading out towards Waianae. Anybody who's been out there knows that it's one way in and one way out. A cow was stuck on the road. Traffic was at a dead stop. They didn't know what to do. Finally, it was basically decided that the cow had to be killed and taken off the road so that people could continue with their day. So understand how bad traffic can be, and this is why I preach proximity to your job. So let's say that you're working in town, at a hospital in town. I keep using medical because I have, a nursing degree. But let's say that your job is in town. you're going to want to consider living a little bit closer to town, even though people do live out west, but you're going to want to consider it, all right, because of that drive. Maybe even Hawaii Kai, which does have their own traffic too on Kalaniana Ole Highway, right? So you maybe want to consider Hawaii Kai side, which is a little bit closer to town, or heading up a little bit into Pacific Heights or Manoa, something like that, so that your drive time isn't too bad. Now, if you love the city life and you want to live right there near your job and you want to walk to work, by all means, there's tons of beautiful high-rise condos in Waikiki that are going to be right near your job, and definitely could use that as an investment vehicle too for maybe later on, depending on how you want to use it and what your goals are with the home. So something to consider, but that's how I would gauge where you live. Number one would be proximity to work. And then if you have a family, definitely got to consider family friendly areas. What is the neighborhoods like, or what are the homes like? These types of things. Are they newer? Are they older? So that would be number three. Then if you're looking for a newer community, newer development, you're going to want to consider maybe Ewa, Kapolei, or Hawaii Kai, even Waipio. So Waipio is a small area. They got a new area coming up called Koa Ridge that you might want to consider. So those are the things that I would look at if you have a family. If you don't have a family and you're single and you want to live the city life, definitely, like I was talking about, I want to consider living in town where all the fun, fast-paced stuff is. And Hawaii doesn't really have a fast pace, but we'll use that as our fast pace. But if you're looking for adventures or something like that, then maybe Kailua Kaneohe side. If you're looking to be completely secluded and live in small town vibes, you maybe want to consider North Shore. So that's how I would look at it where you live, but proximity, newer homes, family friendly areas, and then depending on whether you are by yourself or not. So, and then one of the other things too with pets, if you're coming out here and you're trying to rent with pets, it's going to be very difficult. I don't know why it's like that out here, but it's very hard to find a rental property, something to rent out if you have pets. A lot of times, if they even approve it, it's going to be a dog like 20 pounds or less and maybe only one pet. So rentals with pets is very difficult as well. And then if you want to live in a building in town in Waikiki or Honolulu with your dog, you got to consider getting in the elevator, taking them all the way down, walking them, and then getting in the elevator, coming all the way back up. You don't just have a back door a lot of the times that you can open up, and they run free. So something you got to consider too. Number 7 is going to be understanding your long-term goals. Okay, we already talked about not moving out here on a whim, which you basically have no goals. People do move out here for a year or two to see if they even like it, because you might have heard a lot of great things, and then it wasn't everything that you thought it was, right? It's not for everybody. Honestly, it's not. Just gonna put that out there. It's not for everybody, but a lot of people like to try it. Some people may have come here on a 7 or 14 day vacation and didn't do all the touristy things. They drove through some of the actual neighborhoods. They went and saw some of the real things that happen on a daily basis, and they consider and play this out in their mind. So they'll have a job lined up and they'll make that move, and they have these long-term goals of, this is where we want to retire, or this is where we want to call a place called home, and build a business or something. So definitely you got to consider your long-term goals when making that move out here, because again, if you don't have any and you're just doing it just to do it, and hoping it all works out, it's going to be tough and more stressful. So I'm hoping that a lot of this information helped alleviate a lot of that stress. I know I rambled on a few topics, especially the culture and the do's and the don'ts. That is one that is really key and important to understanding when you make that move. Okay, understand the demographic, understand that it's a melting pot out here. It's actually, if you look at the statistics online and you can Google it, it is actually more heavily Asian influenced than anything. So you've got to make sure, I'm okay with living in a melting pot of cultures. I've actually lived in several different areas other than Hawaii that were melting pot of cultures. And again, I grew up here. So for me, I love it. I love it. You got to take all that into consideration before you make your move out here to Hawaii. All right. And again, you guys can reach out to me. You can get on a call with me. You can send me a text, send me an email, schedule that Zoom down in the description below. However you want to get a hold of me, I got your back when making that move to Hawaii. And if you made it all the way to the end and you have not done so yet, I would highly, highly consider hitting that like button to help anybody else looking for this information to find it, and then hitting the subscribe button and the notification bell so that you get notified every time that I upload a new video about living in Hawaii. All right, and then so what I'm gonna have here, I talked about some of those other videos, the moving with pets and stuff that are on this channel. I'm actually gonna have those start popping up for you right now.